Of course, we're gonna go ahead and remove her feet, so I'm over here, I'm just marking the ankles to remove it. And then I'm gonna use a manual drill and also a power drill to put some holes inside her legs. After that, let's go ahead and screw in the hanger bolts. And that's pretty much it for her ankles. Let's go ahead and move on to her face.
No more. No more.
I just took off all of her hair, and now I'm going to go ahead and erase her factory paint.
That tickles. What are you doing? I can't see. I can't see.
I don't know why I looked up, but when I did I saw him there. He stood against my window, his forehead rested against the glass, and his eyes were still and light as he smiled a lipstick red, cartoonish grin. My wife was upstairs sleeping, my son in his crib. I froze as I watched him looking past me through the glass. His smile never moved when he put a hand up, sliding it down the glass, watching. I just stayed there, frozen, feet still in the bushes I was pruning, looking into my own home.
This plane is not moving. It is stuck in the air, not moving. It is literally just sitting there. What the fuck is that?
Hello.
This
Am I
and-
scary?
Yeah, and
That
also
doesn't count.
adorable.
Ladies.
That is just hard to look at.
Actually, here, better yet, that. Am I a baby man?
We'll give it to you.
Yeah, Baby doll man.
Baby doll
Yes,
man!
Your kid doesn't even have hands. You will each have 4. That's unanswerable. I take back my complaint. Let's go! Let's go!
Is it me, or is that something leaning out looking at me?
This is why you should never follow a white rabbit. There's a story about a girl who lived in the country, and one day she was out feeding her horses when she saw this white rabbit staring at her in the distance. It had these bright red eyes that almost glowed even in the daylight, and she just felt compelled to follow it, and as she approached it, it ran away, so she chased it. It took her to a giant hole in the ground and quickly scurried inside. The hole was probably 6 feet wide and was so dark that she had no idea how deep it went. But what she'll never forget is as she stood there, she heard this deep whispering voice coming from the hole saying things like,
"Would you like to come in? We're waiting for you."
She was so startled that she ran back home to tell her father. And when she brought him back to the exact spot that the white rabbit had took her to, it was gone. And there's actually so many stories online of people who have followed white rabbits and it took them to something really scary. So yeah, just be careful next time you see one. Kinda would like to go to Wonderland though.
Really weird things caught on video that are absolutely unexplained. This lady was doing late night security at a construction site when something caught her eye. She got her camera out, started filming. Look at this, you guys. It looks like a human shape, but there's no clothes, no face, no figure. I have no idea what this is. Follow.
Be warned, this video is absolutely terrifying. Welcome back to Scariest Videos on the Internet, Part 6. CGI or not, this is one of the most terrifying videos on the internet. Nobody knows if it's real or fake. As always, like for more.
Hey guys, meet Mandy. She is one of the most haunted dolls in the world and she resides in British Columbia. And she has a pretty big mystery surrounding her. Let's get into it. When a museum in British Columbia first received Mandy, she needed a lot of good cleaning, so they placed her inside a plastic bag with no bugs, nothing in it but the doll. And they started noticing some strange things. Almost like the bag was rustling, breathing, moving on its own, and they felt really, really disconcerted around it. The doll, even though untouched, would even change positions. The staff locked her in a room overnight before she was ready to be put on display in the museum the next day. In the morning, they opened the door to receive the doll to find the entire room in complete disarray. There was no reasonable explanation. They had proof that no one had entered that room. So, completely freaked out, the staff brought in a psychic medium to investigate Mandy, and here's what she said. According to the psychic, there was a ghost of a little girl trapped inside Mandy. The child claimed that she died trapped in her basement, clutching onto the doll. Due to this information, the museum curator decided to do some investigating of his own. The woman who donated the doll originally claimed she got rid of it because of her daughter, admitted that she lied. What comes next is truly terrifying. Every single night, the woman would hear a baby crying from the basement. She would go downstairs to find the windows open with no wind and no draft, and just Mandy there. This happened repetitively, and as soon as she got rid of the doll, the crying stopped and the windows stopped opening mysteriously on their own. Now, of course, everyone was terrified of Mandy. But after she was put on display, the staff claimed to hear her tapping on the glass, and once they even tried to put a stuffed lamb inside with her. This didn't make her happy, and the next morning they found the lamb somehow outside of the display case.
Here's a few things you may not have known about the Conjuring. It's said that 8 generations of families lived and died in the house before the parents moved in. The deaths included 2 suicides, a poisoning, a murder, 2 drownings, and 4 men who froze to death. When the film was given an R rating, the filmmakers asked the MPAA to elaborate a little bit on what they could do to get that PG-13 rating. They were told there was no amount of cuts possible to make this PG-13 movie, just because it was too damn scary. Upon the movie's release, some theaters put up these warning signs and actually had Catholic priests on standby. In the Philippines, they would even bless the viewers before watching the film.
Have you ever seen a tree give birth? This is the story of Myrrha. When Myrrha didn't respect Aphrodite, Aphrodite cursed her with the most unimaginably cruel curse of all. She made her fall passionately in love with her own father. Her obsession with her father was insatiable and she did everything she could to stop it. But when her nurse found her nearly dead by her own hand, she decided to intervene. They tricked her father and she eventually became his lover. But when he discovered who she was, he tried to kill her, so she ran as fast as she could. She ran for 9 months and begged the gods to help her. They did, by turning her into the Myrrha tree. And while she was in tree form, she gave birth to a very famous baby, Adonis. For more dark Greek myths, follow for part 2.
People started falling from the sky by the close of the decade. They were never clothed, always naked, always a petrifying grin on their faces. It had been just a few at first, but then hundreds and thousands would fall at a time, destroying cars, homes, blocking off highways. Strange discoveries were made upon research. They were human, but lacked any blood, intestines, even a heart. No one could explain the hideous grins they had, or even where they came from. It was a woman in Costa Rica who made the latest and most disturbing discovery. She recognized one of the fallen bodies as a long-dead relative, one who died back when she had been a teenager. More and more identifications were made. Part 2. Soon people were picking out their long-dead loved ones amongst the video feeds, cadaver piles, and crematoriums. No one could explain why they were coming back, falling from the sky. Even more distressing, after disposing of the bodies, it wouldn't be long until that same body came plummeting from the sky again. You could not get rid of them, no matter what. People were getting killed by the higher volume of falling bodies. And soon after burial, they too began to fall. My mother was killed when a body landed on her car, crushing her. The next week, the news reported on a body that had gotten lodged in an airplane windshield. I saw my mother's grinning face, the happiest I had ever seen her. They say when hell is full, the dead shall walk the earth. What about heaven?